the starting pitcher here tonight at Winter Chevrolet Stadium, and one of the great baseball players to ever ply his trade in the major leagues. 1988 most valuable player, 462 career home runs, 1,407 career RBIs, and perhaps for me most impressively, a member of an absolutely elite group. There are only 4 players in the history of the major leagues. Here's a 2-1 pitch to Yasuda, and it's in for a ball. We're not even going to go pitch by pitch because it's 10-3. Jose Canseco is a member of the 40-40 club. And folks, when you stop and think about this, this is sick. 40 home runs and 40 stolen bases in a single season. Only 4 men have done it. Alfonso Soriano, Alex Rodriguez, Barry Bonds, and the man sitting next to me, Jose Canseco. Jose, thanks for taking time for joining us here, and welcome to Pittsburgh. Boy, we sure have enjoyed having you here, just your 4th day here. Tell us how it came about that you ended up being a member of the Pittsburg Diamonds.
Wow, I was here last year, spoke with Shah. I think we met in a home run derby or something, and talked about his league. He was the owner of the Pittsburg Diamonds. And we talked about me coming down last year and playing, kind of testing it for 4 or 5 or 6 games. I actually played down here. I liked it. Talked again about coming down. I tried to come down here early on the season to start the season, but the timing was wrong. Then spoke with Shaw again about coming down for the whole month of August and playing and maybe pitching a little bit, kind of checking out the situation, the teams here, the structure, how the league is being run, and also maybe to get involved in the near future on how to develop the league here.
When you say coming down, where is home these days for Jose Canseco?
Las Vegas, Nevada.
Uh-oh.
So it's not that far of a drive. We actually drove down here, 580 miles.
580 miles. I saw the white vet that you drove down here, so.
That's gone. Traded that in for Tahoe. I realized I had that vet for about a month. I'm too tall, too big, and too old to be driving little tiny cars.
You still have the money to pay for the speeding tickets, though.
Yeah, but I try to avoid them.
You came here with a friend, Morgan, and when Morgan and you drove away from the golf tournament the other day, she had it up to about 85 in the parking lot. I think she's got to be a faster driver than you.
I think she was doing like wheelies or something like that,
She
spinning
was.
out the tires. And
She was.
she's a professional race car driver in her own right, so she's pretty good.
You know, when you come back and you play here in Pittsburgh, obviously baseball has taken you all over the country, all over the world, but I can only expect that there's really nothing like the Bay Area. And what's it mean to you to come back to this part of the world?
Well, it's where I was brought up as a minor leaguer. Of course, playing with the Oakland A's since I was 17 years old, and eventually going up through the ranks, A-ball, AA, AAA in the major leagues. Playing in, extended when they bring up the rosters in 1985. I'm playing a month at Oakland, and then playing as a rookie, 86 season, 87 and 88, then the MVP, rookie of the 40-40 and so forth. So basically a homegrown product from the Oakland A's. So I made a lot of friends out here in the Bay Area, know a lot of people, and spend a whole lot of time out here.
One of the things that people may not know about Jose Canseco is that you were far from an overnight success. You started off and went through the minor league system for the A's and earned your way up to the big club. But then when you got up there in your rookie season, everybody knew here's a guy that's going to make things happen for many, many years. And tell us about that process of going through and learning your paces, some of the guys that were most instrumental in getting you to the big leagues.
It was a process. I remember coming out of high school, I think I was either 17 or just turning 18. I was actually drafted as a third baseman. Most people don't know this about me. I was a third baseman my whole career in high school and so forth. Drafted as a third baseman, and played my first professional season in the Florida State League. I was there for a short stint, maybe a month or two. Got 9 at-bats, struggled. From there, I went to Idaho Falls. Played a little bit there, struggled, of course. Then from there, I think the next year started in Madison, Wisconsin, and then struggled there and went to Medford, Oregon. Did okay there. Next year after that, started in Modesto, California, which is A-ball, and was doing okay. Then my mom passed away, which is in my book, Juiced. Came back, finished off the season there. From there, went to extended spring training. Had a really good, they call it kind of like for younger players to come in. Did quite well. Next year came back and almost made the big league team at a camp Went to Double A, had an incredible year in Double A, between Double A and Triple A, had an incredible year there. Even though I missed a month and a half with a broken finger, was brought up in September '85. Hit some long home runs in the major leagues in '86. Of course, I made the team, was Rookie of the Year.
You know, it's very interesting, as you said, as you were going through the chronology of that, and when you talked about what happened at the first 3, 4, or 5 starts, you used the adjective struggled for all of those. Yet, you continued to advance. So clearly, the guys in the A's organization, and I would expect you knew it was in there, but when you hear struggled, sometimes at the end of 4 or 5 struggled, the next word is released. And yet
Right.
you seem to be on a steady advance to the big leagues.
I think because I was very young, so they saw some kind of flashes of a lot of potential, hand speed, bat speed, could run a little bit. It's like I tell these players here. Some of these players are 21, 22 years old, and they have a long time to actually develop. I tell these younger players, do not give up. You have youth on your side, and basically it takes just one good year here and maybe independent baseball. All of a sudden you're picked up by affiliate ball. All of a sudden you find your rhythm. You have a good year in affiliate ball, and before you know it, you could be in the major league. So you can't give up, especially these young kids. You can't give up on young players that have tremendous ability and talent.
One of the things that I noticed when we met you for the first time on Thursday afternoon is that you are keeping yourself in fabulous physical shape. And as we talk more about it during this interview, we're going to reference that, because what you did today would gas most people out there pitching. And I want to talk about your performance in a second, but you came in and you came here to Pittsburgh in great shape, and I think that sends a great message to the other younger ball players. What do you do to keep yourself fit and ready to roll?
Stay extremely active. I'm in the gym 4 to 5 times a week, but I'm a very active individual. Softball, baseball, whatever sport out there that I can get involved in, I'm actually doing it. I'm not one of these individuals that, after my career in baseball, sits around and gains 40, 50 pounds. So I think, these retired athletes, especially in baseball, that represent their sport should stay in great shape, should take pride in the fact that, they are representing their sport.
When you came here, one of the things that I saw that you immediately did, and we were talking about how the younger players embraced you, but you were also talking about how your appearances in places like this, and then all of the other things that you do around during the course of a normal year for Jose Canseco, a lot of it is trying to give back, trying to get the message of what a great sport baseball is. And how important is that for you to continue to get that message out?
What's important, especially at this level of baseball, I think, when you bring in experience and you bring in names, when you bring in major league athletes where people are going to watch and listen, I think it helps leagues like this who are beginning in a way. They're in their infancy stage, a 4-team league that you're trying to develop and trying to make stronger, trying to turn it into 8 to 12-team league. I think that's very important for people. Or for you to have an image out here, an individual that can bring a major league atmosphere out here.
One of the things that the players have talked about, and it's already happened in just 4 games, is that you're somewhat of a coach on the field. What about starting the process of being able to eventually evolve and get yourself into maybe coaching at the major league level again?
Well, I think I have to start small. I think starting here, developing the league here. I think next year, physically I'm 52 years old. You have to know when to say when. So I think next year, basically, I'm just looking forward to being involved, front office, developing baseball, coaching, managing or something, and, helping these younger players out. I think this league has potential. I think with the right names behind it, the right experience, and putting people in the right place, we can develop this.
When you were talking about this league developing, I remember at the press conference on Thursday, you said something that I have said before in the past, and that is, we in the Pacific Association really have no shot with only 4 teams. We have to expand out to more teams. Tell us why you think that's important.
Well, it's extremely important. The strength of any independent baseball league is the number of teams, for sure. You have to expand. I think what's missing here is, of course, a couple teams are struggling financially. Other teams are benefiting from that. I think you may have to institute, if it stays small, 4 to 6 team division or league, you have to do some type of revenue sharing. You have to do that. Now, once you expand beyond 8 to 12, then independent baseball, basically each team is on their own, unless they want to negotiate a side deal with revenue sharing. I think small towns like this want to see baseball. I think they support the game. They want to see their players move out here. And really from here, go to affiliate ball. And who knows, it's great to see one of these players make it to the major leagues and be a great success.
One of the very important things I think about that, and it ties into Tom Dempsey, who was doing color earlier, is that next year we are going to be on an over-the-air radio station, 92.9, which covers the Pittsburg Antioch area, and that will give local fans more of an opportunity to know that Pittsburg Diamonds baseball is going on. I will tell you, Jose, that in the last 4 days here in Pittsburgh, we have had more in on-field attendance than we had in the entire season coming up to that. Needless to say, it's because of you. These people are coming out. They want to be near you. They want to see you do your thing, get autographs. How gratifying is that to you still now at age 52?
No, it's great. It's great to see that. And my agent, I'm trying to do the best out here. I pitch today a little bit, trying to hit and so forth. But I think we have to get more ex-major leaguers involved in these type of environments if they're not involved already in affiliate baseball to get them out here, get their experience, do some meet and greets, appearances, autograph signings, whatever they have to do, because the Pacific League, this league has a lot of potential.
You're talking about hitting and pitching. Let's get down specifically to the 4 games that you've played. Your first game was on Thursday night, and I personally thought you got off to a great start.
And it was all downhill from there on in.
Well, it's very, very early. 2 base hits in that game. Your last 2 at-bats, you got solid singles, so 2 for 4 in that first game. Tell us about what it's been like facing live pitching. Some of these guys in this league can bring it up there in the low to mid-90s.
Yeah, I mean, faced live pitching last year. It's been about a year. Basically, the only type I face is softball, underhand. So, yeah, I'm telling you, the quality of pitching is very good. I saw some guys, 88 to 92, which was surprising. They were throwing extremely hard, really good breaking balls. But it seems like right now, I think, we got to get fans out here to support our team. No ifs and buts about it. I think the league is strong. As one individual, you can only do so much, so hopefully we can get some help.
Today you were the starting pitcher, and I thought you acquitted yourself fabulously. There was a couple of times where you got in some jams, but double play balls helped you out of it. There was a couple of times where I thought that you said to yourself, okay, I have to throw a certain pitch in a certain spot here, especially the second double play ball to Yuki Yasuda. I thought it was a fabulous pitch. Tell us what it was like being out on the mound and your impressions of pitching. That was you only pitched once in the major leagues, but you've done it a lot in independent ball. What was it like out there today?
Trying to find your rhythm, trying to throw strikes. I throw like 3 pitches of fastball with a little sink to it and a knuckleball and sometimes a changeup. But, I struggled with location and a couple balls, hit a couple guys, went behind them. It's tough. I see how it's very difficult to pitch. It's very hard to find location out here. I did the best I could. Luckily, I got, a couple double plays at the right time, a couple ground balls, which helped me out a lot.
See, I didn't think there was anything lucky about it. I thought that you made good pitches in good spots. And at the end of the day, when you came out, you pitched 4 1/3 innings, and you only gave up 2 hits and 1 run. And you were in position when you went out to get the win in the game. And that's really all anybody can ask from a starting pitcher.
And I ran out of gas. I haven't pitched in a long time. Basically, my whole right side froze up, and I had to pull myself out because I know when to say when. I just couldn't go anymore. So, it was fun. It was great. I'm happy I was able to help out the team. And I think the main thing is I tell the guys, it's independent baseball. Win, lose, or draw. Of course you want to lose, but try to have a great time out here.
What is the difference of the physicality? Because I was saying to myself that you seem to be very wind fit out there today. And it's a very hot day. The motions that you have to go through and pitching in pressure situations, you were wearing a black jersey, and one of the things is that you never seemed out of breath out there. And I was extremely impressed by that. By the way, we are going to go to the top of the 7th, and the Stompers still lead the Diamonds 10-3. I was talking with Tony and Tom on the air about your air. Your cardiovascular air seemed fine.
The cardiovascular seemed fine, just the physicality. As well as you know, I've got a bad knee, probably a meniscus tear, and I'm wearing a brace. You know, if you don't throw bullpens, if you don't throw every 4 or 5 days, you can only do so much. You're 52 years old. You're going to last. I was surprised I lasted even close to 4 innings, to be honest with you. Couple innings there. I got in a couple jams. Luckily, we got some ground balls, but it was a whole lot of fun.
Would you like to go out and try it again and start another game before?
Absolutely. I have a great time out there for sure.
Good for you. I want to keep you just for a couple of more minutes and start asking you specifically about some of your experiences when you were such a great Major League player. We were talking the other day about there are certain people or groups of people or teams that can be identified by not specifically identifying them. Like the greatest. Well, that's Muhammad Ali or Pele. It's a one name, but everybody knows he's a soccer player. Things like that. In your case, when people say today, next week, or 100 years from now, the Bash Brothers, they're going to know that that was Jose Canseco and Mark Mcgwire. What does that make you feel to know that you are always going to be remembered not only for being a great player, but synonymous with you and Mark?
Well, I think you always want to remember the game of baseball, the game you actually played, and hopefully in a positive way. I mean, we were the Bash Brothers, something that was completely different, never done before. I never really seen 2 very large, monstrous guys hitting very, very long home runs who, yeah, when you say the word Bash Brothers, automatically Mark Mcgwire and Jose Canseco. So I'm just glad back then we had a winning team, we had an entertaining team, and the fans got their money's worth.
I think one of the things that people tend to forget about you and Mcgwire was that you guys weren't just home run hitters, and especially you. You guys hit for average. You played the game the right way. The stats ended up going through the roof with the home runs, but you both brought to the game an overall game. And tell us about how that makes you feel.
Yeah, I think, you know, when you have a foundation of a team, when you have 2 incredible power hitters, I think you build around that actual team. So now you have 2 solidified power hitters potentially get you 50 home runs. Now you kind of build around that with defense, you know, high on base percentage guys. You bring Ricky Henderson. So if you really look at it, the A's, when I first came up in '85, no fans were coming out. Now all of a sudden I come on in '86, Mark Mcgwire in '87. We start building around that center strength, and boom, all of a sudden 2 or 3 years later you have a World Series ball club.
You ever talk to or keep in touch with Mark?
Haven't spoken to him, no, in a very long time. No.
When you were putting up all the kind of great numbers that you were, 462 career home runs, the 40-40, the MVP in '88, when you look back, if you could pick one thing that you think you're most proud of in your career, as far as, you know, patting yourself on the back a little bit, what would it be? For me, I'm going to answer my own question, which I know you're not supposed to do, but 40-40 that's just crazy. You just can't hit 40 home runs and steal 40 bases in a season. You can't do it.
You know, I'll tell you one stat most people have no idea about. It's actually 2 stats. When I was on second base, I never got thrown out of home plate. That's one step because of my tremendous speed and my base running ability. God, what was that second stat? Well, there was another stat in there somewhere. I got distracted by it.
No worries about it. How much do
I'm sorry. The other stat was I did lead the league one time. I worked on 2-strike hitting, and in 1 year I led the league on when I had 2 strikes. I hit the most home runs out of anybody with 2 strikes.
Think you'll go over and take in an A's game or 2 while you're here in town?
If I have time. I know we have a Jose Canseco bobblehead day on September 3rd, so I'll be over there. And I think they're going to allow me to take some batting practice either with the team or in between when both teams take batting practice.
When you think back about those teams, are there quite a few of former Major League players that you do now? You said you haven't talked to Mark in a long time, but are there a lot of Major Leaguers that you keep in contact with now?
It's sad, but because I wrote that book, Juice, none. No.
And when you say it's sad, do you think that they have just said, well, I need to separate myself? I don't get that because, you know, if a person says something and they believe what they say and they're convinced that they're telling the truth, I don't know why a person would ostracize themselves from somebody that's just speaking from their heart, even if they don't like it. I mean, we're all human beings.
Yeah, well, I think Major League Baseball took a stance that once I wrote the book Against the Game of Baseball, Telling the Truth about the issues and the problems with the game. I think everyone took a stance that was affiliated with Major League Baseball or was involved at the time or wanted in the future any time of affiliation with MLB to really not speak to me at all.
Any regrets that you wrote the book?
It's kind of like a double-edged sword because I do regret writing the book in the sense of, it hurt some of the players, it hurt some of my friends, but believe it or not, it hurt me the most. The other issue is I don't regret it in the sense of because I think that book helped clean up the game of baseball tremendously to where it's the best game in the world now.
One of the reasons why cliches become cliches is that they're true, and one of them would be the truth will set you free. And
the truth hurts. That's another one.
Sometimes the truth hurts, but it seems to me like even though it was tough and it was a rocky road, that you really, at the end of the day, didn't really have any choice. You had to be true to yourself, and if you were going to do that, you had to do it all the way. And that's the one thing that has impressed me about the book, and I've read it several times, and that is if you're going to go ahead and tell your story, either, to use a poker analogy, either go all in or don't put any chips in the pot. And you went all in, and frankly, I admire you for that.
Exactly. I think, the original manuscript that I first wrote with Judith Regan and HarperCollins, I left the players out, and they actually said, we can't print this because no one's going to believe this. If you don't have names in, then they said, well, you either have to make a decision. Either tell the whole truth completely, like you said, in poker, you're all in and let it all hang out, or don't do it at all. And it took me a long time to sit there and think about, exactly what was going to happen, and I went all in.
Do you think that with the passage of time, maybe some of the animosities and some of the people that were upset with you, do you think that perhaps that might start to wane a bit? It has.
It has in the last, I think the book came out 10 years ago or whatever. It has. It's gotten a lot better in my favor to where I'm being, at times, invited to Major League ballparks, to the 25th anniversary of the Oakland A's and then Boston Red Sox a few years back. So I think the stranglehold is loosening.
There's another former major leaguer that has had a controversial lifestyle as well in a life, and he lives in Las Vegas. Actually, a friend of mine, Pete Rose. Do you ever run into Pete over in Vegas?
I've run into him a few times, and I like Pete a lot. He definitely belongs in the Hall of Fame. I mean, think about
that. Was my next question.
Think about what he did, the hits. No one's ever going to eclipse that. That's unbelievable. And it's a crying shame that they have to use him as an example to control others, because to me and to everyone else, he is a Hall of Famer, period.
The criteria for the Hall of Fame has long been your performance on the baseball field. And are you supposed to bet on baseball? Absolutely not. When you all come up as rookies, it's made very, very clear, don't do that. But when you consider that you have murderers and you have pedophiles and you have just bad people in there, Pete Rose is an addicted gambler. Well, last time I checked, that's a disease. So don't let him in because he has cancer, because as far as I'm concerned, compulsive gambling and cancer are the same thing. They are a disease, and I'm 100% with you. I think it's an absolute travesty, and I also think that baseball is so incredibly hypocritical.
Absolutely.
To not allow him in, because here they are standing there holier than thou, and yet towards the end of the era when there was steroids, Bud Selig knew guys were using it. But people were filling the stands, and the TV ratings were going up, and he didn't do a damn thing about it.
Yeah, I've always said that it's a crying shame that baseball can be so hypocritical when there's been so many players inducted into the Hall of Fame that were obviously PED users. Some players who were suspected of PED can't get into the Hall of Fame. Major League Baseball has inducted players that obviously use PEDs, and they're in the Hall of Fame. For example, the last two players that were inducted, one of them used PEDs. I'm not going to say who. But Major League Baseball inducts them. So it's a hypocrisy in a way. They select who they want. That's a crying shame. And, it shouldn't be that way.
A perfect example here in the Bay Area is Barry Bonds. Because, first of all, Barry Bonds never tested positive for using a PED. Second of all, I believe that he did. But here's the thing. let's say there was never such a thing as PEDs or steroids. Barry Bonds, before there was ever even the notion of using a PED, he was a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Correct.
So we have a guy that didn't test positive. Everybody says, oh, well, he used. Okay, you know something? In the courts, it's not just, well, you look bad, so, it seems like you probably did it. So here's a guy, one of the great baseball players to ever step foot on a baseball field, and he can't get into the Major League Hall of Fame. And there's another example. I mean, I know you played against Barry. We're talking about a guy that with insane sick skills, and he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Another perfect example, Mark Mcgwire. Mark Mcgwire, as a rookie, he was very skinny. Obviously, he was not using PEDs at that stage. He hits 49 home runs his rookie year in the Oakland Coliseum, which back then was rated the toughest ballpark to hit home runs with the biggest foul territory. If Mark would have been playing in a controlled environment, like let's say a Dome or Colorado, he would have easily hit 70 home runs because he lost so many home runs there. So it sends a terrible signal. And then the signal is PEDs makes you a human being. PED gives you hand-eye coordination, athletic ability. It makes you a Superman. It does not. But then again, I've always said this. Captain America, if you look at his beginnings, he's an individual who's a skinny little guy who tries to get in the armed forces, can't make it because physically he's not able to do it, goes into a cylinder, comes out Captain America after they inject him with chemicals. Talk about the hypocrisy of that. It's bizarre.
And you want to talk about another incredible hypocrisy that Major League Baseball will allow. What about Andy Pettitte? Because here's the deal. There are two different ways you can use PEDs. You can maybe have it enhance performance, and we believe that it probably does. But if you use it, and if you are now, your career is extended and you put up stats that maybe you wouldn't have to, the only thing that you have to do to not be vilified for doing it is after you do it, say, oh, shucks, I did it. I'm really sorry. Are you kidding me?
It's like saying, yeah, you know what, I murdered somebody. I'm sorry, let me off.
Exactly right.
Again, the hypocrisy of baseball.
Double standard.
It's a very bad double standard. I think eventually Major League Baseball has to evaluate the criteria or the people who are voting on the Hall of Fame. Because you got individuals voting on the Hall of Fame ballots who never played the game, don't understand certain eras, nonetheless the PE eras, and don't understand the game as we do as players, what it takes to perform every day.
Yeah, you'll hear
I think it has to be revamped completely.
You'll hear guys say, well, why didn't you vote for that guy for the Hall of Fame? I don't like him. What?
Just because they don't like him.
What?
Oh, I don't like because he didn't sign that guy's autograph back. And it's ridiculous. Again, how the Hall of Fame should be voted is by computer mechanically to where emotions and opinions are completely out. Numbers speak the total package.
Yeah, you said a mouthful. Final couple questions and fun ones. When you were in the major leagues and you would come to the plate, give me the name of 2 or 3 pitchers that you just went, oh, my aching back. I don't want to see that guy. I haven't got a hit against that guy in 3 months.
Oh, God. Every time I used to face Dwayne Ward, reliever for Toronto, they would bring him in specifically for me. In minor leagues, he was a reliever. In the minor leagues in Double-A, I faced him one time. First at bat, hit a home run. Second at bat, he threw a pitch up and in. I left my hands up, and he broke my pinky. After that, when I got up to the major leagues, they brought him up too. Never got a hit off him after that.
No kidding.
Never. He was nasty. And Harris, the kid who started here the first day, his father? Jackson.
Yeah.
Because his father, I faced him in the major leagues.
I think his name was Edwin, too.
Yes. Faced him in the major leagues.
Edwin Jackson Jr.
One hit off of him was just a home run, and he was incredibly nasty. These were reliever guys, thank God. But, you got guys like Randy Johnson throwing 103, 104 against me and Mac, and just an unhittable slider. The ironic part of the game is that when you're locked in and you're technically sound, you almost can hit anybody unless they're just incredibly, throwing the nastiest pitch in the planet. When you're struggling, anybody can get you out. So, as hitters, I always try to stay incredibly technically sound, but it's so hard to stay in that zone. It's incredible.
When you were talking about guys that just are just with sick stuff, when you were saying that, the name that popped into my head is Aroldis Chapman.
Gosh.
This guy is throwing 5 or 6 miles per hour faster than anybody that's ever played the game, and he's doing it consistently.
Right.
I mean, how'd you like to face him when we were in your prime?
You know, it'd be interesting. The only thing I would say, please don't hit me, because he's throwing so hard he could probably break your elbow.
I was going to say, you know, people say, well, a pitch is a pitch.
No.
I'm an umpire, and I have been hit by 80-mile-per-hour fastballs and 100-mile-per-hour fastballs, and I can tell you there is a very big difference.
Big difference with the way, 80-mile-per-hour fastball can give you contusion, but a 100-mile-per-hour fastball can break a bone. So when you have a guy on the mound throwing 104, 105, when you basically can't react, it becomes, as a hitter, I think he's got the advantage in the sense of, I hope he doesn't hit me in the head. So that's a distraction because there's no way you can move. When he's on, he's just untouchable.
Of course.
He's just untouchable.
Final question, and now you get to take it to the other side. When you'd walk to the plate and you'd see a guy standing out there on the mound and you'd say, son, you're my prom date. Here we go. Give me 3 or 4 guys that you just owned.
Every knuckleballer that threw me, destroyed him because I know how to hit knuckleballs. Got to throw a knuckleball.
How do you? Did you say you know how to hit a
knuckleball?
Yeah, tell me how to hit a knuckleball.
You move up on the plate and in, and you look for the ball up. And because I was so tall, I know that the knuckleball up doesn't really break. So for me, since I'm so tall, it's easier to hit the ball higher. So I used to stand up straight and wait for the ball up top, and that ball usually flattens out and hit that pitch. So anytime a knuckleballer would throw anything up in the zone, almost out of the strike zone, I would just attack it, knowing that if the ball comes, kind of like thigh high, it's going to dive straight down. Leave those alone. So I had a big advantage. And, I don't know why Todd Stoudemire for Toronto, every time I saw him.
Tough? He was tough?
No, I used to.
And you
for some reason, I would hit him, every 3 at-bats a home run.
One of the things, and you were at the golf tournament the other day, and I can tell you as a golfer myself that people come out and they'll play golf and they can shoot 136, but if they have that one shot that they hit during that 136 round, it keeps them coming back.
That's me.
And I know what it feels like when you hit a golf ball and you absolutely do not feel it. I can only assume that a long home run is the same. What does it feel like when you make that contact and it's almost as if you don't even feel the bat hitting the ball?
Right, because I use such heavy bats, sometimes 34 ounces, 36, 34s. The perfect swing on a ball, as soon as you hit it, it's not if it's going out, it's by how far. That's what you're really calculating. And the ball, you really don't feel it. The bat overpowers the ball completely. And basically, as soon as you hit it, the trajectory, the ball goes out so fast, it's just incredible. Yeah, and, when the outfielders just do this, it's going to be a long run. Yeah, that's the best feeling in the world, completely crushing a ball.
Well, one of the best feelings in the world for us here in Pittsburgh is to have you to be a part of the team. I will tell you that all things being equal, I think you were one hell of a ball player, and I really do admire people that will hold true to what is in their hearts, even if other people don't like it. And for me personally, Mr. Canseco, I think you should hold your head high and remember that we'll all be gone, but somebody, maybe a kid that's not even born now, and then he becomes 30 years old, somebody says Bash Brothers, and they're going to know that it was you and Mark.
Thank you. Appreciate
really
that.
Very special. Thank you very much for joining us. Get out there and get some base hits on Tuesday, and we sure are happy to have you here.
Forget hits. If I hit a ball hard, I want it in the air so it'll go out. That way I won't have to run.
Just like in the home run derby yesterday.
That's right.
All right. Thank
you,
Jose.
guys.